Hello everyone and bonjour. Today we're going to talk about factions and leveling because that's what I do in the game. I'm not going to do like other videos that talked about factions already. I'm just going to go over factions real quick. This video is sponsored by AG, so I have to go over certain points. But then I'm going to dive fully into factions during leveling, and depending on which faction you choose, what are the strategies if you're a casual or if you're a blaster min-maxer. So factions are going to release at February 21st. We're going to start with two factions. They talked about maybe adding more in the future, who knows. The first one is Merchants Guild. Merchants Guild, you have an auction house. You can trade with other players. And you're going to unlock levels with your faction. And this is going to unlock item types that you can buy and sell. So from the get-go, you can buy rares, then you will be able to unlock, sets, uniques, I think exalted, like weapon exalted, because they differentiate exalted weapons with like all the other exalted items. And like level 9 and 10 is going to be legendary weapons and legendary items. Now, what about Circle of Fortune, which is the other faction? This one is more centered around people who don't care about trade. You can still trade with your friends, by the way, through a system called gifting that is present in the game at the moment, where you play with your friend, and whenever something drops, you can gift it to a friend that has played with you when it dropped. And they're also going to have a system called resonance for items that dropped when your friends wasn't there. But basically, you play with that friend a lot. And as you play with him, you're going to drop resonances, and those resonances you'll be able to use them on items that you can't normally trade your friends because they didn't drop when your friend was there, and now that item will be tradable. So Circle of Fortune, you're going to have more drops with that faction, and those drops will be of better quality. You are also going to be able to use a system with this called prophecies. And prophecies, what they are basically giving you they're giving you chances at more targeted loot. So you're going to be able to have like buy prophecies that tell you, okay, you need to kill that monster in this area to get that loot. So this could be like monolith, arena, and dungeons. You could be asked to kill bosses, like a certain type of monsters. Yeah, that kind of stuff, basically. And you can repeat that a number of times that is specified on the prophecy. It's not like a one-shot prophecy. Every time that you buy a prophecy, you get the loot and then boom, it gets disrupted. No, you can sometimes do it multiple times. All right, now let's talk about leveling. But before talking about leveling, where do you choose your faction? So you choose it at Majelka in chapter 9. And we also know that the reputation, which is your faction XP, is going to scale with the XP that you gain. So you probably gain most of your faction levels in Empowered, where the XP gets scaled by corruption. And we also know that from the November development update, that corruption has been reworked. And now, instead of mods scaling and giving you large amount of increased XP, they are static. They don't scale with corruption, but corruption scales way higher, like way more aggressively. And this also impacts the bonus of XP and gold from corruption. So rushing corruption is now going to be even more important, and it's going to have a lot of value to get the most out of your factions. So that means that if you intend to rush to Empowered, if you're like me, basically, you probably shouldn't unlock your faction before going to Monolith. I think it would be too much of a time waste, and I'll probably unlock it with Temporal Sanctum, the dungeon, which allow you to skip from chapter 5 to chapter 9, and then you unlock your faction with that. Or if you have friends that unlock the chapter 9 waypoints, you can ask them to teleport you to them, and that'll be it. But if you want to unlock your factions before going into Monolith, regardless, I have cooked some strategies for regular Monolith. So for Merchants Guild, at the start of 1.0, I divided that in two parts. So start of 1.0 and after some time in the cycle. At the start of 1.0, I think if you want to rush, it provides very little benefit. You're probably going to be faster just rushing to Empowered and then buying uniques for your build, buying very good rares, because if you rush, there's not going to be a lot of supply on the market. And you probably want to wait as much as possible before it's really needed for your build or it's really worth it. Because it's not really worth it when you rush to Empowered. We also know that they're going to nerf drop rates, but we'll see how it's impactful. I don't know. Maybe you're going to actually need to buy items depending on what build you play if you rush. But my guess is probably not. Another strat is to buy items from the faction vendor. So those items are weapons and offense. And apparently their implicit are like have a lot of value compared to their level. So in the case of weapons, like melee weapons are gonna have a lot more flat melee damage than like weapons from the same level. So if you're lucky, you can get like a big power spike during leveling. I don't know, it's gonna depend heavily on the cost. If it costs too much, I would say don't bother with that. Just save your favor. The favor is basically the currency that allows you to buy, sell stuff at the market, but also at the faction vendor. Also, whenever you spend that favor, it's gonna increase the XP for your faction. So let's say you rush to Empowered and you want to get to the next level that you haven't unlocked just to buy a very specific item. Then you can sell stuff or buy stuff and it's going to give you XP for your faction and maybe you're going to unlock that extra level that you needed. So yeah. If you are more casual, I recommend buying rares and uniques on your way to Empowered because you're going to spend way more time in those regular monoliths. So you want to feel powerful as early as possible. I recommend going for good weapons for your build. Items that will boost your resistance and health in general are very good. If you play melee and you don't have any source of leech, try to go for, like, for example, melee leech. Level of skills. You also have class-specific affixes that are really good. And yeah, that kind of stuff. You can also buy idols with resistance and health to fix your resistance, especially early in the first few timelines in Monolith. Yeah. So that was for the start of 1.0 cycle. Now, if you are playing MG after sometimes in the cycle and you want to play a twink, what do? You probably buy legendaries right away for leveling, if you are level 10 and you can afford them, obviously. If that's not the case and your level is too low, your MG level I mean, you just buy items with like the highest affix tier available to your level. So I recommend focusing on weapons, so flat damage on weapons especially and increased damage. Focus on two-handed weapons more than one-handed because two-handed the increase and the flat and all of that, it scales way higher. So you don't spend like your favor and your gold on two weapons, but just on one. Boots with movement speed and cooldown recovery speed. Belt with cooldown recovery speed. Helmet cleanse also on belt, really cool. Helmet, body armor, and relic with level of skills, like I said before, class specific affixes. Yeah, those are insanely rare to find sometimes, the class specific affix during leveling, but they have insane value sometimes. Like they can literally quadruple their damage in some cases. You can also buy uniques that do what I said before, like movement speed uniques, cooldown recovery speed uniques. In terms of weapons, you have the torch that is really good. What was it? It's a scepter fire starter torch. So it's equipable at level 1, literally. It inflicts spreading flames on an enemy on a hit. And basically what it does is that you hit one enemy, it applies spreading flames. The spreading flame is going to spread to every single enemy around the target, and it's going to kill them like really easily. It's usually like really powerful up until chapter 4 if you don't build for it. Like if you don't have increased fire damage over time, that kind of stuff. But if you have that, it can probably last the full campaign. And yeah. And that's it for MG. Now for Circle of Fortune. So Circle of Fortune, I think it's going to be the same no matter if you start at the start of 1.0 cycle or in the middle. And I think for rushing, it provides a lot of values. Also, if you want to take a chill, that's the same. If I count only on the first 4 levels, you get more item dropped. Nearly half of your Rune of Ascendance are not getting consumed. So you have more chances of getting uniques. And you have more Exalted. So you probably want to maximize your levels, like unlocking those levels as soon as possible are going to be your goal. So scout prophecies before going to monos, and then after each timeline, you want to spend most of your favor. At level 2, you want to buy a lens that boosts the chance of finding the best item type for your build. So I recommend helmet, body armor, relic for levels and class specific stats, your weapon type, and idols. But in idols specifically, the 2x1, 1x2, and the 1x1 idols, because they give health and res, so those are really nice to fix your resistances and up your defense early on. But if your build has like an insane value idol, you can probably also target that one. It's just that keep in mind, we're gonna switch that lens really quick, because at level 3 you can buy lenses that block certain content in the game. So I recommend buying the lens that block arena, because arena, you're never gonna do it unless you have a unique that is really good for your build, but you're never gonna farm that before empowered. And then you have like monolith and dungeons. Dungeons, you're maybe not gonna do it like in your rush to empowered, but maybe like after empowered, like you probably will go there. And monoliths, that's obviously what we want. Also, same as MG, you have a vendor. I don't think you should buy from that vendor. I think you should probably, you have more value in those prophecies. So I would recommend spending your favor into those prophecies instead of the vendor. But if you have like an insane weapon for your build, maybe you just want like once or twice to get like a guaranteed good weapon for your build. It's like a, you know, for sure that you're gonna have that power spike, and it's gonna be less RNG for your build. Yeah. Also, I think if you're a casual player, you might find better opportunities in MG than in COF. But if you want to play COF, play COF. If you want to play MG, play MG. It's just that COF, I don't know how much mastering the prophecies and lens system is gonna matter to COF compared to MG. Maybe if you don't want to bother with that, just go MG. Yeah. So what are my thoughts on factions? What I plan to do is to rush MG with Bina. I'll see maybe with some other people at release. But yeah, I know MG is gonna have very low values, like in terms of their level that you unlock in MG. And it will start ramping up as the average players unlock them. Because let's say I rush to level 8, I can buy and sell uniques with LP, but there is no market for it. Nobody is able to sell them yet. And whatever I put on sale, nobody is able to buy it. So for me, it doesn't make sense. So probably the first few days, I'm gonna like sell and buy uniques and rares, and then exalted once a lot of people have unlocked exalted. Exalted are probably also going to be very expensive early, we'll see. But there's also the fact that a lot of new players will come and they'll not know the value of items. So you're probably going to be able to snipe some really nice exalted for cheap. But yeah, if you want to blast, I don't think that's the best strategy though. I think the best strategy, in my opinion, is to go COF, no matter what you want to do, no matter if you want to play COF or MG. And then if you want to play MG, you switch to MG later once there is a market. There's enough people in the market at a high level, sorry. And yeah, you have a lot of uniques with LP, some legendaries that pops up, that kind of stuff. It's probably gonna be like after the first week. Like I don't see in the first week that being like that populated, especially legendaries. Legendaries are probably gonna start to appear like after 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know. Like there's gonna be a few already in the market in the first week, but not a lot. My point is that there's gonna be like very, very few legendaries that are being sold. Yeah. Okay, the final word before the end. We're gonna have Twitch drops during the first 2 weeks of the patch. You're gonna be able to get 4 different cosmetics for the game. So 2 are themed around COF and 2 are themed around MG. And if you want to get those drops on your account, I'm gonna have a link in the description where you will be able to link your account from Twitch to your Steam account. Yeah. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you later. Bye.